Welcome to Business Finland webinar on artificial intelligence. This is a series of webinars that Business Finland is launching for the US audiences. We are in the middle of the series. So 2 weeks ago, we had a speaker from the Finnish Ministry of Employment and Economic Affairs. We talked about how Finland is using AI in engaging its citizens in an ethical and transparent way, so that these AI technologies proliferate all areas of the Finnish people's lives. Today, we are talking about how AI is being used for business purposes, for commercial solutions in Finland, and how you as a US collaborator or partner can take part in what's happening in Finland on the commercial side as well as research. And then don't forget to sign up to our last theme on this AI series, which is media and AI. We'll have a speaker on from the YLE News Lab. He's going to talk about new tools for democracy in social media and news media. Before we get started with today's agenda, house rules. Everyone is muted, but you will be able to ask questions by writing them in the Q&A chat forum. You can type the question anonymously, or you can also put your name and company there. At the end of the presentations, we got 4 presentations today. At the end of all of those presentations, I will take your questions and we're going to host a panel discussion. I will not read your name and your company name, even if you give it to us. So that remains with us in case you want us to contact you for follow-up. The session is recorded and the recording will be made available to you. That's it for the house rules. Let's get down to today's agenda. Our first speaker is my colleague from Business Finland. Outi Keskiäijä is the head of the AI business program for Business Finland. So Outi, I'm gonna make you a presenter so you can start sharing your slides, and if you also want to turn on your video so we can see you, there you are.
Hello everybody, very nice to see you all today. Are you able to see my slides?
Yeah, can you put it on a slide share? Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for joining us today, and I will tell you a little bit about Business Finland and AI business program there. So Business Finland is the Finnish innovation funding, trade, investment and travel promotion organization, and it's fully owned by Finnish government. And we have been kind of like doing a lot of things already with AI and kind of like dealing with those that currently that are most important for us. There is a lot of things about maritime, a lot of things about health, society and education that are very important aspects for all us Finns. So what is AI business program? The AI business program was initiated by Finnish government in 2017 when Finland was doing its AI strategy, and now it's led by Business Finland that offers companies funding to research and develop new AI solution and helps them to bring AI solution to global markets. This is not only focused on AI, but also the business-to-business platform economy. AI business program is for 4 years, and it has budget of the 200 million euros. That is kind of like going to exceeded here because we have been very successful and got a lot of good projects ongoing and funded, and we have so far funded 300 projects in this program and used almost this 200 million euros already. Finland has a long tradition in AI research, which has led to the cutting edge expertise. Most Finnish corporates they built their own AI departments, but the driving force is the hundreds of the innovative startups which have their roots most in academia. These innovators are successfully now applying AI in various business verticals. And we have been seeing that there has been continuous growth of these startup companies. And Helsinki has been identified as the most significant AI ecosystem in Europe, along with London and Paris. Just a glimpse about AI landscape that is being currently updated. What is the goal of the program? It's to make Finland the best place in the world to research and develop AI and business-to-business platform economy. So we want to get research partners and business partners to Finland, and also to operate those partners all over the globe. We are creating also new digital platforms that leverage data and AI to support business-to-business models, which drive the agile development of digital services in all verticals, but especially in the kind of like public-private partnerships that we are very much taking care of. So, for example, health and education in Finland. What kind of the services we have for companies? We do fund companies, single companies. We have funding for the joint projects for the companies and academia. And then we also fund public innovative procurement cases. We also introduce new international partners for global market access, promote these partnerships on digital platforms, especially on these public-private partnerships that are kind of like promoted by government. We are creating opportunities in this program for different kind of peer-to-peer learning and networking across industries. Research areas that we are interested is to eliminate the shortcomings of current AI technologies, creating the language-dependent natural language processing capabilities. So everything to learn and understand better languages, and especially those that are not very widely spoken. Studying new industrial platform economy business models and leadership models. Optimizing operations between humans and machines, and applying AI in new domains. I think that there has been especially kind of like good examples on the combining AI with new technologies, and in that way bring them to the market very quickly. So this is our contact person. So me and Janne-Kari on Finland, and Petra on USA. Thank you.
Petra, I can't hear you.
Yes, of course. I'm sorry. No one can hear me. I was on mute. So yes, I was asking Marisanna for you to turn on your video while I'm looking for this. Okay, can you see the Utopia slide? I hope you can see the slide.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Mari-Sanna Paukkeri. I'm the CEO of Utopia Analytics, and my background is in machine learning. I have PhD on language independent text analytics. And about Utopia, Utopia is a text analytics company founded 2014. And we educate the online services all over the world to define their own community guidelines, which fit their users and their community best. We also provide AI tools that help these online services make sure their users follow their guidelines. We have a very high quality AI, and we provide the advanced AI as a service. Our Utopia AI understands any language in the world and also any dialect, whether it is social media sort of text or other kind of text. It can adapt any moderation policy on the social platform, and it performs at the level the best team member in the human moderation team performs. I suppose this is difficult to believe, but we calculate and measure the performance all the time. And on top of that, this Utopia AI follows high ethical standards. It follows the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and especially freedom of speech and equality in this declaration. Utopia Analytics comes from Finland, and the Finnish language is one of the most difficult languages in the world to analyze automatically. This, our own language, made us choose a different path than other AI and NLP teams in the world in our product development. We had to make the Utopia AI understand our own language. But not only that, we created our AI in a way that also the other languages could be analyzed in the same way than Finnish. Utopia's Utopia AI Moderator service has been 4 years on the market. Our customers, for example, social platforms or games or news publishers and many others, love the service. We haven't had any churn during these years. We believe in high quality products, and we believe in AI changing our lives to the good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mari-Sanna. That was fantastic. So let me stop sharing. And again, questions, but we will get to those. So, okay, Vesa, we can see you. I will also make you a presenter. Are you, okay, here we go. You put it on a slide share mode as well, so it will be bigger.
Coming up.
Thank you.
Excellent. So very nice to meet all of you. My name is Vesa Perla. I'm the founder and CEO of Clanet, which is a Finnish education technology company. I'll touch base a little bit on the latest happenings in EdTech. As we've seen, obviously, around the world, that COVID-19 has been impacting education practically more than probably anything before. And then the impact, obviously, is very big on the education technology side as well. And since early this year, we've seen school closures in more than 191 countries. Nearly 2 billion learners and teachers have been affected around the world. And this has clearly shown that the online education, the digital education has not really lived up to its potential. And now we see a big slide in education taking place globally. And we are really living critical times to really make sure that not anymore students are dropping out from the education and basically failing to get those skills they will be needing in the working life. And what we see typically everywhere in all the countries as the official answer, I mean, what are the kind of investments areas, how we could be making the situation better? And those are basically the same ones we've seen already for years and decades. So access to internet devices and tools, and then capabilities of using those devices and tools. And this obviously, I mean, no rocket science, doesn't surprise anyone. Absolutely, these things are needed, but those are not enough. What we really need in education is captured here. So instead of simply focusing on the hardware and the software, or deploying software projects in schools and universities or even corporations, we need something a bit more. We need pedagogically well-produced content, applications, things that are really made for online learning. We also need to be equipping our teachers with capabilities to delivering digital learning or remote learning. And then we need to make it engaging, effective, and also mind the social emotional type of learning. So really get to the next level and utilize the technology. It's a great enabler, but if we only deploy software and forget the pedagogical parts, we are not getting anywhere. And that's basically what we do at Planet. So we talk about complete learning solution, where the learning platform, which is basically the place where the magic happens, AI-driven, powered, whatever, is then complemented with other type of things. We talk a lot about learning design. So how do we create those effective and engaging learning experiences online? And data obviously is then the third component. So how do we measure? How do we make learning activities visible? Because remote learning is very often about losing control, and that's obviously not something we wanna do. We wanna see the progress of learners. We wanna have capabilities of interventions when needed, and this is basically what we build. So complete learning solution taking care of these proper digital learning. And in a nutshell, what we do is basically here. So we analyze the current competencies of people, students, corporate employees, what have you, and compare it against the skill levels or competencies they need in the future. And obviously there is in most cases a learning gap. And that gap is very individual. I mean, if you have 100 people, we throw the same one-size-fits-all approach to them, we are definitely not utilizing or personalizing the learning. So, but that's basically the essence of what we do. So we take people from the current competence levels, build the learning paths, highly personalize them to make those learning paths as effective as possible, and then obviously measure everything at all times. And this is actually where it then comes to the AI part. So the innovation we have developed is a combination of learning theories. So academically valid theories of how we learn, how different individuals learn. And then combining those with machine learning algorithms, which means that when we are taking people from the entry skill profiles towards the achieved skill profiles, we are tracking the progress at all times. That can happen through traditional assessments. It can happen through continuous self-evaluation, but most of the data comes from behavioral analysis done by our AI. And but the AI is, I mean, that's a really critical component. That's the one that really makes the difference between good learning experiences and bad learning experiences. But we need to really remember to build those learning paths, learning experiences in a very solid way from pedagogical or online pedagogical perspective. And but here is basically the essence. So utilizing AI in a very pedagogical framework to make sure we are analyzing and measuring those parameters that truly impact the learning. And that's something we've been doing around the world in 43 countries at the moment. And with this approach, you can be tackling any kind of learning challenges. They can be regular courses in universities or schools. It can be onboarding of new employees, certain specific skill trainings in working life. So everything really goes. And yeah, so we are skilling them all, and I'm happy to answer questions, obviously, in a few minutes. Thank you.
Wow, that was super impressive. Thank you, Vesa. All right, our final presentation today is Meri. She is the CEO of Saidot. Is that how you pronounce it?
Saidot.
Saidot. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I promoted you as a presenter. You should be able to share your presentation. There we go. Thank you.
Yes, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Petra. Great to meet you, everyone. This is a great spot to be speaking after Vesa because it's really exciting education space, and the things that we're doing actually relate very much to that as well. So let me introduce myself. Meri Haatia. I'm CEO and co-founder of a company named Saidot. Saidot is a Finland-based company developing technology and services for AI transparency, explainability, and end-user communication about these systems. Let's start with the problem that Saidot was founded in 2018 to solve. So having been working with a lot of companies and also public organizations who are deploying AI in scale in their different business processes, it has become very clear that the biggest challenges and problems in the space of AI are not technical, but they are more importantly ethical and also political problems. So if you have watched the very new Netflix documentary called Social Dilemma, I think you must be very familiar with the themes that I'm talking about here. Over the past year, there has been a lot of concerns from the wide public on how algorithms, for example, have discriminated against women in credit decisions, how and related to education space, how during the COVID lockdowns, the final grades of high school students were in some high schools defined by algorithms. The most recent discussion around this area has been around Twitter's image cropping algorithms, which discriminate against people of color. Just to name a few examples. So it's very clear that AI trustworthiness has become a major factor that affects the trust of the whole organization. And for companies and also government organizations who are relying their processes on algorithms, this is a major new risk to handle and manage on their side. So with Saidot, we are working with those companies and also government organizations who want to take these concerns of their consumers and end users seriously and systematically build trust for their AI. How do we do this in practice? One of the most powerful ways to do this and address these concerns is to be transparent regarding how your algorithms work. And let also your consumers and end users participate in discussion around these topics. In fact, if you look at the different policy papers and guidelines regarding AI ethics, transparency is the most cited principle. So it's very good to build your AI ethics strategies on. We as Saidot, we develop AI transparency platform, which will allow our customers, the organizations from public and private sectors, first of all, to build their AI registers, to document and capture information in a standardized manner regarding how their algorithms work, and what were the key decisions and assumptions that were made when developing these systems. After having this information in a standardized form in one place, we help our customers to communicate this information in a user-friendly manner towards their consumer customers. And this can mean different things in different contexts. For example, dedicated sort of AI register websites, or then it can, and more, it will also mean this kind of embedded transparency features as part of any algorithmic services. And this is what we support with our design system that will make these kind of transparency snippets and like features really easy for organizations to deploy and of course end users to consume. So the ultimate target that we are driving is to make transparency part of any consumer-facing algorithmic systems, and make this approachable and easy, efficient for the organizations who deploy those, and finally for the consumers interacting with any of these services, from which you can ask that who are you, like what is this service, or why did I get this recommendation, whether it's in the space of education, media, or retail, and so forth. And getting an answer that is enabled by Saidot is a sign that this organization is serious about their consumers' trust. So we work with different kinds of organizations, big ones from private and public sectors. Some of our customers include the cities of Amsterdam and Helsinki, also Espoo, and from private sector, Finnair, as well as many of their smaller technology vendors who are providing AI-based technologies for these large organizations. In a few days, actually, we are launching world's first government public AI registers with our customers. So I really hope to see you engaged with those through our social media in a few days. So to conclude, today's technology organizations can't take trust as given. They will need to earn it every day in the interactions with their consumers. One of the most powerful ways to address this is to be open regarding how you use AI, and also allow your consumers to participate in their interaction around these transparency features. And that's what Saidot was founded to do and can help with. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. That was really, really interesting. All of these three companies are just amazingly fascinating. Let me start with Mary while I have you on the line. Actually, we can stop sharing the presentation, but please keep your video on.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if I could ask Vesa, Outi, and Marisanna if you want to turn on your video so we can get everyone here for the panel discussion. But I still want to follow up with Mary on what you said. So I don't know if people are familiar with the most recent Twitter, what seems to be an algorithm bias against people of color that was tested, where people made these strips of images where you had a white person and a person of color, and it seemed to be picking the white person. And I saw a Twitter response from a comms person from Twitter, from her personal account, saying that we had done tests on the algorithm, we didn't find anything, but apparently we need to do more tests. What if, Mary, if Twitter had been using your platform, what would that response have looked like? How would it be different?
I think the main point here is that it's a really good example about how avoiding bias, how difficult it is, and what we're seeking with transparency, and also really suggesting for our customers and encouraging them to be transparent regarding how they use is the benefits are a little or very much the same as with open source. You get quicker, you find your problems quicker, and you're able to fix those problems sooner than how it goes without that transparency. So I don't know how long this feature has been with Twitter, how long the problem has been there. Now it's in worldwide global discussion. I think involving more people in the bias testing, being transparent how it works, and then really addressing these concerns can make these problems smaller for the company. So that's probably my answer. I think no one can say that there wouldn't have been this problem in the first place, because this shows how difficult it is, even though you're addressing it. But with this approach where you actually involve people and be transparent how you are doing it, you can fix things quicker and with less damage compared to how many companies are working at the moment.
Marisanna, do you have a comment, like from the moderation point of view? Is there anything that triggers your, from your point of view?
Yeah, we are a text analytics company, and since we have a lot of customers' data and there's a lot of personal data included, we need to take all ethical questions very seriously, and we have done that all the time. The company is now 6 years old, and in my opinion, there are many very important things when considering ethics. Besides transparency and unbiased models, there are also many other points which need to be taken into account. We have covered those. We have a blog on our website, and it is a series of different items which need to be taken into account. And for example, this treating different people similarly is very important point in when building an AI model. But not only explaining how the model has been built, there's also a need to have very skilled people who know that when I build this model in this way, it actually means in practice that the model will behave a certain way when it is in use. And this experience and knowledge is something that is usually missing when building AI models, taking open source something and putting them into use. Those models won't work in a way how they should work. And for me, the experience within the teams who build those models is actually the most important thing.
Yeah, so many connections to the same topic. So there's the language, Marisanna, you guys work, you said all of the languages in the world. So
yes,
if there's something like this, people should be able to kind of have the same experience regardless of the language that they use internet with. And then the other thing, I think, Vesa, I want to pull you in as well, is where we talked about the personalization, where you, in your AI platform, you look at skills. This is not necessarily now any more to do with the Twitter case, but in general in AI and in an online user experience, you guys had that feature where your platform is really reading a person's skill set and then building the learning path based on their personal traits.
Yeah, I mean, it's we know, for example, that motivation is a very strong driver. If you're motivated to learn something, you, according to research, learn at least 3 times better than without the motivation. But then it gets tricky because motivation is a very dynamic and individual factor. I mean, you might feel really motivated right now, and then in 5 minutes it's all gone. So, so what we do then with our algorithms is to identify different kind of indications of, for example, difficulty level of the material. That's a good example how we actually utilize learning theories, a flow theory. We know that, I mean, if it's way too difficult for me, I get frustrated. But then again, if it's way too easy, I get bored. So we don't want to have either of those extremes. And the AI is really handy to detect kind of signs of the proper difficulty level, which means that then we can be, I mean, we do a lot of text analysis, tonality analysis. We've been actually teaching our algorithms with tweets, really good source for both positive and negative type of tonalities. And so it's detecting these small signs of, for example, the right difficulty level or challenge level, as we call it. And for the conclusion making, we then use these pedagogically valid frameworks. So that's a good example of how we utilize AI in then personalizing the learning. And obviously then the outcome of this analysis which happens obviously completely in the background. Could be, for example, a recommendation of something slightly easier to read, watch, or consume.
Is there any, this is a question to all of you, is there any cultural differences how people behave, Vesa, in terms of learnings, Marisanna, in the way, I guess your algorithm already understands how to detect the language, like how people communicate in their own languages, and then Mary on how they perceive the transparency of a company's AI policies. Floor is free, whoever is first to jump in on cultural differences.
There are a lot of cultural differences.
Also, I'm sorry, Outi, go ahead if you want to say something.
Go on.
Whoever is quickest.
Well, I can start. So we don't really see any demographical factors impacting learning. We're much more the same globally than, and actually we are not even that unique when it comes to personalization. So you have certain learning characteristics, learning orientations, as we call them, which are pretty dominant around the world. So not really from the perspective of AI analysis.
Marisanna, Mary, now we have the opportunity to talk to American. We've got media people, university, academia people, and then some AI business people. You are Finnish companies, these are American companies. How can you help them be more successful in terms of the international and cultural aspects that you have that are maybe different from what we have here in the US?
Maybe briefly from my side, I think when you think about the AI ethics space and all the important aspects, those pretty much align across the world. So we see same principles and values being raised across the different papers, like where these things have been addressed globally. But then I think there are differences as well, or differences where different regions are sort of like more mature or developed in addressing. Looking from Finnish perspective, I think transparency is supernatural for Finns to focus. So we are very transparent society. Government organizations are already relatively transparent in their actions. We have relatively powerful regulation in the space of openness of government activities and so forth. So, and we also trust public authorities. We trust companies and basically anyone we come across. Then I would say another really challenging area in this space, whole question of bias and how to address that. I think there's a lot of things to learn from the North America for European companies and individuals in this space. I think as a problem, it is not that tangible for us, especially in the Nordics. So that is an area where we definitely really listen really carefully what is happening in the US and in the civil society organizations in North America and so forth. So I would say there are differences. There are opportunities in this space to learn from each other, building on the strong points and focuses, different focuses.
That's interesting. Marisanna, do you want to add something from the online moderation point of view?
Yeah, we see on our moderation platform how people behave in different countries, and we see also the moderation policies which have been defined in each customer's own platform. And there are definitely lots of differences how people think what is good behavior and what isn't. And it is very interesting that there are a lot of those small little details which apply are not accepted in one country, but some hundreds or thousands kilometers away, it's already something that you can do. And for example, in kids' social media, there are some countries where kids can swear. It is just okay in that language. But the next countries, then it's not okay anymore for teenagers or smaller kids. So we are, even though we are citizens of the world, there are lots of cultural differences, and that makes it very interesting that we are different in different countries, and there's a lot of learning from each other.
Yeah, I heard you say earlier that your AI is also solving the community guidelines issue. So the AI itself is tackling this problem even before the humans are.
We do this moderation work in a way that we never define the moderation policy. We don't do that. And our customers do it on their own platform. So we don't want to be a party that defines everywhere what is good and what is bad. But our customers know best what should be done on their platform. And we provide a tool for them. So they define the guidelines, and then we help them to make sure that the guidelines have been followed and their users follow it. So that makes the social media a much better place for everyone, that the rules are followed.
Yeah, I also want to mention here, we talked about ethics and trust, and Vesa, you mentioned COVID. If I remember correctly, the tracking app in Finland got 25–30% of the entire population downloaded the COVID-19 tracker app in just 2 or 3 days. So that, to me, living in the US, that was a kind of a sign of a country where citizens have great trust towards the authorities. They're willing to download this app that's tracking them in such large numbers.
A quick comment on that. I think it's a like great thing. It's about our trust towards public authorities, definitely, but it's also sort of we have applied such like technologies for the application that has been supported by a lot of privacy and security experts. So those choices definitely have impacted on the people's willingness to take this into use, because it has been carefully planned from the trust perspective and privacy perspectives.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, I don't want to go too much over 45 minutes, but I do want to ask Outi, or kind of like open this conversation. We have a lot of companies and researchers online today listening in, and one of the idea with these webinars is to invite them over to Finland and participate in various programs. So question, Outi, to you is, you mentioned that the AI program that you have been running is already ending. You've spent most of your money and you funded 300 projects. Is there a new program coming where if an American university or a company comes into Finland, they set up a limited liability company there and become a Finnish company? Is there something new coming up from Business Finland where they can participate in?
I'm not so sure if there is a new coming up. We haven't make any decision because we are still doing our job for the next year. So we will exceed our budget. So we will get more money than was planned. So we will go on still next year. And I think that after that or in end of the next year, we probably make some decisions that how we will continue. Let's see. I don't have any idea what will be the decision. Probably some kind of the continuous or the next part of that will come. But I would, if there's anybody interested, I would like to kind of like to contact us and discuss with us how to kind of like join to our activities and what we could be doing together. I know there's quite a lot of already actions with US on this area, but there is always room for more.
Yeah, we especially we want to reach out to companies and universities or research institutes that do R&D around AI and the topics that we discussed today. We're of course always open to great ideas. So if anyone has a really cool idea, or you said we want to eliminate the shortcomings of AI, and like we heard today, there are shortcomings. It's not perfect, so more work is needed.
Yeah, nothing is never perfect. I think that there's a lot of things that we can use it a wrong way or good way. So there's always, AI is the means that you use to achieve something. It's up to you how you decide if you want to make good or bad with that. Of course, there's a ways that you can ensure that you make the good if you want to do it, but there's always ways that you can be the evil with something.
I think that was a great closing line, Outi, for the entire conversation. It's a matter of choice, but we have the tools available. Okay, I want to end the session because it's already, we're almost 15 minutes into the hour. Thank you, our panelists, our speakers. That was hugely interesting. Thank you, attendees. You can contact our panelists directly, or you can just reply to your registration email. It will come to me, and I can facilitate the conversation going forward. So thank you for today. Don't forget to sign up to the third one on the AI webinar series for new tools for democracy on news media, AI, and UX in 2 weeks. Thank you, and goodbye.
Thank you.